Good, happy Wednesday evening. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast right here on RK Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Wednesday evening, so let's get started right now. First up, Vermont man dead after a three-vehicle crash in Stark, New Hampshire.
Ready to put on a new roof? Prices are falling right now at Garrett Cook's Roofing Specialists. Put zero down and pay 0% interest for 12 full months. Call now for a 24-hour estimate and get scheduled today. Insist on Garrett Cook's Roofing Specialists.
Tonight, a man from Vermont is dead after a head-on crash in Stark involving three vehicles. State police say 33-year-old Lefty Marshall of Bloomfield, Vermont, was heading east on Route 110 when his pickup drifted across the center line and ran into a dump truck first, then into a minivan. Marshall was pronounced dead at the scene. The dump truck driver was taken to the hospital but is expected to be okay.
Ready to put on a new roof? Prices are falling.
Okay, and there you go on that report. Swimmer dead after being pulled from water at Hampton Beach.
Ready to put on a new roof? Prices are falling right now at Garrett Cook's Roofing Specialists. Put zero down and pay 0% interest for 12 full months. Call now for a 24-hour estimate and get scheduled today. Insist on Garrett Cook's Roofing Specialists.
The last 2 days, yesterday and today, we're flying red flags, so we're high hazard, high surf, we're restricting swimming to waist to knee depth.
The warnings of danger can be seen across the shore, flagging beachgoers of the high surf and rough rip currents.
Knowing that any moment a rip tide or some current could pull your kid out there, it's terrifying to think that that could happen.
There are 3 known trouble spots along the shore that have created fixed rip currents. Spots when on duty, the lifeguards monitor regularly.
It will likely move next year as the bottom changes over the winter, but it's a known danger area.
One of them is where 23-year-old Casey Torname, who was surfing nearby, heard 2 swimmers yelling for help last night around 7:30. He rushed into action, bringing 2 men to shore and calling 911 for help. Crews worked to rescue one. He was pronounced dead at a nearby hospital. The other was brought to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Both are in their 20s from Lawrence, Massachusetts. The fire chief says there have been several rescues this season by bystanders. And while it's good people are trying to help, they need to know their limits.
People who are often not trained in that discipline or equipped for it, and you don't want to make additional victims.
Saying people really shouldn't be swimming when lifeguards aren't on duty.
If you don't know what a rip current looks like and you're not sure that you're in one, you really don't belong in the water, and you put yourself in real peril by doing that.
And with the warm weather, we're seeing the lifeguards say they will continue to watch the beach. Right now, they are on duty 7 days a week from 10:15 to 4:45. Live at Hampton Beach, Kelly O'Brien, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Former basketball coach...
Specifically, we are seeing some of the worst...
Former basketball coach charged with human trafficking, sentenced on final state charges. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Ready to put on a new roof? Prices are falling right now at Garrett Cook's Roofing Specialists. Put zero down and pay 0% interest for 12 full months. Call now for a 24-hour estimate and get scheduled today. Insist on Garrett Cook's Roofing Specialists.
How do you plead guilty or not guilty? Guilty, Your Honor.
6 days after being sentenced to a quarter century in federal prison, Joshua Pinkoski added 6 more state convictions to his record. Pinkoski pleading guilty to all charges, including aggravated felonious sexual assault and trafficking of persons. All of these sentences will be served at the same time as his federal sentence for producing and possessing child pornography.
He would offer her money to meet up with him.
In an investigation by Farmington PD, police say they found hundreds of videos and pictures of victims between the ages of 13 and 16 performing various sexual acts that Pinkoski paid for.
She was not aware he was taking pictures because he always had a phone in his hand.
One of the victims wrote a statement for the court, read by a victim witness coordinator, about the trauma she still experiences years later.
Every day is a struggle. I now have severe anxiety, social anxiety, anger issues, and depression. It affects my social life, relationships, my friends and family, and significant others.
Pinkoski also pleaded guilty to human trafficking charges in Stratford County just last Friday. He's going to serve that time with his federal sentence. We're live in Concord. Troy Lynch, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Man charged in Manchester stabbing death found incompetent.
Specifically,
Let's take
we are
a
seeing
listen.
some.
Ready to put on a new roof? Prices are falling right now at Derek Cook's Roofing Specialists. Put 0 down and pay 0% interest for 12 full months. Call now for a 24-hour estimate and get scheduled today. Insist on Derek Cook's Roofing Specialists.
This is Daniel Whitmore. Just over a year ago, the 75-year-old grandfather was discovered by 2 people out for a morning walk and bike ride, lying on the rail trail, bleeding from numerous stab wounds. One witness says she saw him feeding ducks on the trail, and by the time she finished her walk, he was lying dead on the pavement. News 9 Investigates obtained the court documents that state alleged killer Raymond Moore called 911 himself after the attack, saying a man threatened him and tried to rob him, so he grabbed a knife he found on the side of the road and stabbed him. Moore is from Mississippi and North Carolina and arrived in New Hampshire last year with a lengthy criminal record. Before the alleged murder of Whitmore, Moore was arrested in Manchester, accused in a pepper spray assault of a homeless woman, and in Nashua, accused of disorderly conduct and resisting arrest. He was out on personal recognizance bail at the time of the stabbing. We did speak with Whitmore's daughter this afternoon. Shelley Whitmore says she is outraged that Raymond Moore was out on that PR bail when he allegedly attacked her father. She says the Attorney General's office is assuring her they will do everything they can to keep Raymond Moore locked up. He will be back in court next summer to see if his competency has been restored. We're live outside the Hillsborough County Jail. Amy Cavino, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. In New Hampshire speech, Pence says Trump abandoned the conversation conservative principles. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Roof prices are falling right now at Derek Cook's Roofing Specialists. Put 0 down and pay 0% interest for 12 full months. Call now for a 24-hour estimate and get scheduled today. Insist on Derek Cook's Roofing Specialists.
Well, more so than any other point on the campaign trail so far, we are seeing Mike Pence go on the offensive here, mainly against his former boss, former President Donald Trump, as well as other candidates like Vivek Ramaswamy. Now, in this address at the New Hampshire Institute of Politics, he laid out the terms of this race as a battle for the future of the Republican Party. Those terms being between a traditional conservative values candidate like himself and what he calls a wave of populism sweeping through the GOP. Now, the address started out more vague, but he eventually quoted the former president, who was his running mate twice in 2016 and 2020, and also called out Trump by name. He told the crowd he sees this populist movement led by the former president as being equally damaging to Americans as the policies of Democratic President Joe Biden.
When Donald Trump ran for president in 2016, he promised to govern as a conservative. And together we did. But it's important for Republicans to know that he and his imitators in this Republican primary make no such promise today.
And this address comes as Pence struggles to gain much ground here in New Hampshire. Recent polling shows he's not just trailing behind Trump, who is the clear frontrunner in recent polling, but also other contenders like Nikki Haley, Vivek Ramaswamy, Ron DeSantis, and Senator Tim Scott. Live in Manchester, Ross Ketchke, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Man accused of breaking into Pelham homes, including one with homeowners inside. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Ready to put on a new roof? Prices are falling right now at Garrett Cook's Roofing Specialists. Put zero down and pay 0% interest for 12 full months. Call now for a 24-hour estimate and get scheduled today. Insist on Garrett Cook's Roofing Specialists.
This video, shot by a neighbor, shows the suspect, 36-year-old Justin Spencer of Manchester, being taken into custody. Pelham police say he's responsible for multiple break-ins, including burglary on May Lane. 21-year-old John Orofino was home at the time.
When I start listening to the doorbell a lot of times, so I was scared.
John says the back door was kicked in, and he was in his bedroom at the time.
I start listening more strong noises. So then the guy just opened my door and looked to my face. And I said, I was nervous. I said, hi.
John points to the bathroom, where he went and hid after the man left. He says he locked the door, then called police.
Once we got there, we were able to get in the house, get the resident out safely, and then we pulled back from the house.
Police eventually determined the burglar had left the house, and they began the search for the suspect.
John was able to give us a really good description of the subject, which helped us out. A neighbor flagged us down that they saw the male subject walk in on Velma. Officers were still out searching at that time and went to that area and actually got into a foot pursuit with the suspect.
And Spencer was taken into custody without incident. Police say subsequently they determined that Spencer had also broken into and ransacked a house on Velma Circle, where no one was home at the time.
As for Orofino, he says he no longer feels safe in his home. So today, they're reinstalling security cameras. In Pelham, Ray Brewer, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. New rules on Airbnb and short-term rentals in New York City go into effect. Let's take a listen to that report from ABC News.
Boy, this afternoon, but we do have a lot of state roads that have been affected, which are also affecting our town roads to the traffic.
Mr. Kimmon, right now viewers are seeing Route 140 in your community of Alton.
Act now and get iPhone 14 Pro on us when you switch. It's your Verizon.
The Federal Trade Commission is reportedly set to file an antitrust lawsuit against Amazon this month after failing to reach a settlement over antitrust claims. Meanwhile, new rules on Airbnbs and short-term rentals in New York City have gone into effect. ABC News business reporter Alexis Christophorus has more on that and your other business headlines. Alexis, what are you watching today?
Watching those things and Taylor Swift.
Okay.
More on her in a moment, but I want to begin with Amazon because it may soon get hit with a lawsuit from the Federal Trade Commission. The Wall Street Journal reports the FTC may file that suit against the e-commerce giant as early as this month after Amazon failed to offer concessions to settle antitrust claims. The lawsuit's expected to target the company's logistics program and pricing on its website by third-party sellers. The FTC may reportedly suggest breaking up Amazon to settle those claims. Amazon and the regulator have yet to return ABC's request for comment. There are fewer Airbnb listings for New York City this week. That's because officials here have started enforcing strict new rules on how and when New Yorkers can rent out homes using platforms like Airbnb and VRBO. So among the new rules, you can't rent out a home for less than 30 days unless the host is present the entire time. The city blames the short-term rentals for pushing up rents and fueling the city's housing shortage. Airbnb says the new rules amount to a de facto ban on the platform. And other critics say the city is bending to the lobbying of the hotel industry. Now, if you booked an Airbnb in New York City for less than 30 days and your check-in date is after December 2nd, Airbnb says the reservation will be canceled. Your money will be refunded. Taylor Swift's concert.
Okay, and there you go on that report. That does it for this evening edition of the Riley King Newscast right here on RK Network. Thank you for tuning in and watching. Have a great evening and good night.